RAD DADS, bringing a soft edge to a hard topic. Join us every week as we talk to real people with real stories, from the everyday single parent to family professionals, and find entertainment along the way. Join me, Walter J. Eggers, as I discover and share wisdom. Positive changes start here.
Hello and welcome back, Rad Dads. Walter here with you, and just literally came off the live stream, the Friday live stream of March 16th, 2018. And so if you joined us, I really appreciate that. If you're not on the We Rad Dads Facebook group, go over there and do it, right? Because here's why. I'll get to shout you out. Plus, we'll do Friday Q&As like we're doing now, and I get to answer your questions live about this week's episode or something that's happened to you in the week or something you've been thinking about for a long time, something that we can get together, all of us, and do a discussion. So Friday Night Live or Friday live Q&As, I'm going to try and do these more frequently. Pardon me. I'm not sure exactly if I can do it every single Friday at this time per se, but this is something I'm committed to doing more of. More content on the We Rad Dads Facebook group. Guys, if you're not there, go do it. Facebook.com. Go search for the We Rad Dads Facebook group. All right, there's a page. You can like the page if you'd like. I would appreciate that. But I would love to have you as part of the group. Go in and answer the questions. I bolstered the questions a little bit, and I'm happy to say that I've turned people away. So I'm vetting the group. I'm making sure that we're all the right caliber individuals to be in that group. And guys, coming soon to the group is the rules and regulations. I mean, just basically when it comes to it, don't be a jerk. That's really what it comes down to. Don't be a jerk and help other people. I think those are pretty much the two rules. Okay, guys, two last things. One last thing is this episode is sponsored by audibletrial.com. Did you like that? It's a pretty good, seamless live read there. Guys, you've heard me talk about Audible. And one book I would recommend highly when you go over for your free audiobook trial at audibletrial.com/WeRadDads. Yeah, I talk about not typing in the URL, but right now I think that's the best way to do it. I would love to have a link on my website or maybe on this video, but audibletrial.com/WeRadDads. All right. Get it, got it, good. One of the books that I highly, highly, highly recommend, and one of the books that changed my life and my mind to help me during this whole process, you can get for absolutely free with your free 30-day trial. Follow that URL, weraddads.com. I screwed that up. audibletrial.com/weraddads, and go over there and get Dr. Robert Glover's book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I'm going to say it again. No More Mr. Nice Guy. Dr. Robert Glover. What do you mean, Walter? I don't understand. I like to be a nice guy. Isn't a nice guy a good thing? Well, why don't you go over there and listen to Dr. Robert Glover's book on audibletrial.com/WeRadDads and find out for yourself. I was amazed. It changed my life. Guys, if you haven't read this book, go over there and do it. If you have read this book, comment. Get into the We Rad Dads Facebook group. Let's talk about it. I love this book, and I hope you do too. One last thing is you might be hearing my sexy and rich voice right now, but unfortunately I did not record this audio, this live stream audio, using my condenser mic, even though it was right in front of my face the whole time, which you would have seen should you have joined me. I digress. So I do apologize for a little bit of the audio, but I hope the content speaks for itself as always. Guys, any questions, comments, concerns, anything, go ahead, hit me up. Walter at weraddads.com. And without further ado, this Friday, March 16th, 2018's live Facebook Q&A. Enjoy. Hey, welcome. Good morning, Rad Dads. I promised to come on this morning and do a little live Q&A. If should there be anybody available to Q, I will because I'm the a-hole. Just kidding. Dad jokes. But I got to get that effect going. I knew that it's kind of inconvenient, middle of the day on Friday. So first of all, I wanted to wish you all, hey, awesome Friday. So welcome to the beginning of your weekend. And just wanted to give you a little bit of shout out. I'm doing a dual recording again. Otherwise, you would see my lovely bearded face. Those of you watching me on the Facebook Live, do excuse the audio. I guarantee that this is going to capture a little bit better. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to link the live audio and the recorded podcast audio yet. So it's a tech thing. And right now, it's kind of simple to just keep it simple. We're just going to keep it simple. And I think that's a really important thing to do. Today I wanted to start off by talking about something I thought about this last week. I think about a lot of different topics. I hope that in the course of this last week, you were able to listen to my interview with my son's mom, Corey Richter, and hopefully see kind of a more broad picture of who this guy is, right? I guarantee you, I don't have it all together. And neither do you, more than likely. I don't know anybody who has it all together as much as they might present themselves as such. So I was thinking about a lot of different things. And one of the things I thought about is the absolute fear and terror at the unknown. And I got to wondering, at what point did those adventures, those changes, at what point did new experiences become negative? And of course, the answer is they never did. They never were either negative or positive. It was all about what spin you put on the experience here. I'm messing with my Facebook Live here for those of you listening. Along those lines, we're all experiencing change at this point. Some of you are just entering into this whole chaotic madness known as becoming a single dad or becoming a RAD dad. Some of you are kind of in steps, in the first steps, and you're kind of like, okay, well, this isn't what I wanted, but I'm going to move this direction. Maybe some of you are just like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I'm just everything I can do to kind of keep my feet on the ground. The earth is shifting out from underneath me. And it's okay, everywhere along your journey. Some people have, they're a little further along. They figured out, okay, these systems and processes work. This communication style works. I have this schedule, the rules, whatever the rules are, whether they be legal or just understood. The rules dictate that I act in a certain manner and do X, Y, and Z on certain days. Whatever your situation, I want you to really look at how you approach any situation. Case in point, new experiences. This is a huge new experience. And I've said it before, it will be another topic that I talk about, but I truly believe that this moment in your existence is unlike any other, and it's one that people wish for. And I bet at one point you wished for this circumstance. Now, not this circumstance directly, but the effect of this circumstance. And what I'm talking about is the absolute opportunity to rebuild yourself. Oh, Walter, this isn't what I wanted. This is a destruction. Yeah, you're right. It is a destruction of the former life, the things that didn't work, right? You actually get to tear those walls down and rebuild them the way you want to, with the knowledge that you have accumulated to this point, right? How is that not a gift? It's all about perspective. I talk a lot about silver linings, right? That however narrow, that margin of hope, that glimmer of hope in the darkest cloud, that silver lining on any situation. I want you guys to be able to really see that. The cloud is the majority of that space, but there's still a silver lining on it. Yes, life doesn't happen the way we want it to all the time. And it is extremely difficult. It's easier now for me to talk about this stuff than it ever was before. In my moments of vulnerability, in those moments when the world was going just absolutely crazy. I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't control anything. I could hardly control myself. Those are the moments that matter, right? You've heard this. It sounds so cliche, but it's absolutely true. I would hope that my interview this week with my son's mom has shown you, for both of us, for all of us, that those silver linings, those defining moments really matter. And there was a couple of examples in there where we talked about just the little things. For example, the opportunity to choose your responses instead of giving in to your reactions. I was actually surprised. It was the first time we had talked about that, by the way. Very first. We never talked about that before. And I don't know, maybe surprised isn't the right word, but I was so happy to hear the effect of me making the proper choices, responding in a way that I thought would foster where we are right now. And it did. The feedback was far from immediate, but it was there eventually. And it's a lot of this. I'm going to make an airplane analogy, right? So you ever fly in a jumbo jet, right? You don't think the pilot actually flies that whole way. No, the Earth is circular, right? It's a sphere. Follow me here, by the way. Follow me. So everywhere along the line, the pilot pushes the autopilot button, and even at the controls, right? It works the same way. You don't just follow the course. The course, you get a little bit off course sometimes, and you make a bunch of little small corrections. That's all this is. That's life, right? It's not this linear, absolutely straight. It curves. It has to deal with rounding surfaces, or maybe you're just negotiating obstacles. Like, I don't know, if you're flying over Nepal, maybe you had to avoid Mount Everest. I don't know. Listen, it's kind of a weak analogy, but it's analogy just the same. I hope you get my point. Life is a series of small corrections, right? You don't want to wait until you're 1,000 miles off course before you make a big correction, because that's going to upset a lot of things, right? Imagine you're in the back of that plane, and all of a sudden, boom, big left bank, right? What is happening? Are we avoiding some sort of surface-to-air missile? What's going on? So to keep from rocking that boat, so to speak, just keep making those small course corrections along the way. And this is how you do it. Another reason why, as selfish as it might have been, I wanted to feature our story this week. I think it's time. I would hope that I build up enough validity and curiosity for you guys to know my story. And frankly, until now, I wasn't really ready to put it in front of you because I was afraid. It's messy. All of our stories are messy. So just live it. Live it and do the best you can. Back to my point. Okay, first of all, before I get back to my point, I'm going to shout out some folks. I got 4 people watching. I see Corey Richter. Thank you, Corey. Thank you for watching. Andy Nelson, really active in the group, in there with the Facebook Lives as well, which I really appreciate. And I'm looking forward to talking to you. And Matt Cochran. Matt, thank you. Been listening, by the way. I have been listening, and I love what I'm hearing. Yo, he says. Yo, Matt Cochran. Good to see you. Former guest, Matt Cochran. Guys, go back and check that episode out. And if you're so inclined, go check out is it the MJC podcast? I think it's the MJC. I've got it on auto feed, so it just comes to me, right? So back to the point. When did change become a bad thing? You remember when you were a kid and it was like, oh yay, we're moving, or oh cool, we're gonna go to another city, and it's this exciting, it's this brand new experience. And at some point, these new experiences, these new adventures, this mystery of life, the things that lit us up when we were young, those things faded at some point. Our perspective, they didn't fade. That didn't change. It was our perspective that changed. We went from a curious young person to something that is riddled with the negative. Why do we default on the negative? Now, some people say, scientist types say that it's a fight or flight mechanism. And okay, I'll buy some of that. I think honestly, it comes down to what you start seeing. And this dovetails right back into that silver lining. If you can see only the silver lining, if you can start to pay more attention to it, it will become way more obvious. This has parallels with all these things. I said it before when we were talking in our interview about what your thoughts, about controlling your thoughts even. And the more you can control your thoughts and you can think properly, think properly. What I mean by that is consider other people, consider your reactions, consider their place. If you can think properly, empathetically, if you can think logically instead of, oh, this person's, just wants something from me, or they want to take my money, or they want to take my kids away from me. If you could focus on the fact that, okay, you know what? It starts with sharing, and, eventually maybe we can get to a point where we can be friends and we can work as a co-parenting family. I don't have all the answers, but I would like to take you through that journey to a point where this adventure comes full circle and you're able just to see the silver linings and you're able to be excited about the change. Guys, I talked about this opportunity before. I'm going to reel it back to another thing I talked about is the absolute opportunity as an adult to decide where you want to go and what you want to do. Now you might say to me, hey, I'm locked into my career. I've got child support. I've got alimony and all this. Yeah, you do. But also what you have is a cumulative years, perhaps decades of experience to this point and education. Something that when you started your life, quote fingers, when you started your life, you didn't have. When you chose your career in college or out of high school at 17, you didn't have. But now, as a, I don't know, for me, example, I'm going to call myself somewhat middle-aged. Ouch. Now I have the choice. I get to decide, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be around? Who do I want my son to grow up like? What kind of people do I want to expose him to? What's a fun career for me? I've done a lot of crap. Quite literally. I've done a lot of crap. And some of it made me happy, some of it didn't. But I get to draw on those experiences and the education that I've come to on this point and decide right now and start taking action toward something that is going to make me absolutely happy. The highlight episode this last week with Corey was an example of that. We decided separately, somehow, awesomely, by the way, that we wanted to make something awesome and different and be an exception. I hope that you can have that situation, but at the very least, what I'd like to bring to you is resources and mindset and tactics and tips and tools and stories and people who have done that. And as narcissistic as I felt this week was, I honestly believe that we need more of this. Besides this place, how many other places direct to you, single, blended families, non-traditional parents, direct to you, where are you going to get this from a predominantly male viewpoint? I don't know. I haven't found it. That's why I created We RAD Dads. One of many reasons, by the way. I couldn't find it. And I knew that there's more people out there, and I'm so happy to be connected to you all because of it. And I'm so happy to show you that these things work, but you gotta commit, and you gotta take the small steps every day, just a little bit. And it can happen. The journey of 1,000 miles, as you may have heard, the journey of 1,000 miles begins and continues with a single step. It is also completed with a single step. Guys, just break it down. Break it down for yourselves. Okay, I'm going to reel it back here a little bit. I've got some comments here that I'm going to address. Matt Cochran says, I loved your interview with your son's mom. And I appreciate that, Matt. I did too. I really did. I really enjoy our conversations at this point. It's so much fun. And actually, par for the course. That was a couple weeks ago. We did the interview. Of course, this is live as of Friday the 16th of March, right? 16th of March? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow's St. Patty's Day. Well, yes, we've come a little ways, and I'm leaving today for the first leg of our Disneyland trip. I'm going to go visit my parents, my family, and I cannot wait. It's my personal life besides my co-parenting journey has been I don't even know how else to classify it. I think scientifically it's called a hot mess. I bet that's pretty standard for most folks, people who are listening, people who are watching. And I just want to let you know that I think it's normal. I think it's normal. That's the chaos. That is the new experience. That's the change that I was trying to talk about here in this entire episode. Those are the things that we got to start seeing as absolute opportunities. And it's up to you. First of all, it's up to you. It's a mindset thing. And it's hard. It's hard when you're in a negative place. And it seems to be raining feces. I don't know how else to say it. Sometimes that happens. But it can be done. And I would like to think that you're among brothers and sisters, people who have your best interest in mind. Now, granted, all of us have our opinions, and some may work for you and some may not. But I would say strongly, I would strongly urge you to consider everything, even if immediately you didn't like where it came from. Just consider it. And then start to change your mind. Build those neural pathways. Try to become a much more positive thinker, right? Consider the positives. I've got this post-it note, pardon me. I got this post-it note here, and it's been here for a long time, and I've never said it out loud, but it's one of my mantras. I'm going to show you some stuff here in a second. It's one of my many mantras, and I'm going to read it to you because it's directly applicable. It says, Stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right. Guys, if nothing else, take that into your weekend and just make it a good one. Start considering the possibilities as a positive. I'm going to get to some listener questions and or comments here real quick. Oh, I like to think that I have a really great co-parenting relationship with my ex, but I'm still inspired by you. Wow, Matt Cochran, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that, man. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. I'm looking across at you guys too. I'm looking at, Andy Nelson. I'm looking at all these people that I'm inspired by. One of our newest members, and I'm going to shout him out here. He's not here, but one of our newest members, I'm absolutely inspired by. His name's Ben Hawks. Ben, power, brother, power to you. You've been leaning into the group, and I'm really hoping that you see the benefits here. And I know it's such a very difficult time, but you got to know that we're all here for you, man. We really are. And I would love to be able to set you up for success in the short term, instead of what used to happen with this. We would wallow in it. We would keep it to ourselves. We would wall ourselves off. We would be in, and this is another episode, we would retreat to Superman's fortress of solitude, right? That doesn't do any good. You just sit there and fester and stew. Oh, man, Matt, I really appreciate that. Matthew Wynant, please tell me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Matthew Wynant says, how long did it take for you and your son's mom to be able to co-parent? Well, I mean, I guess it just depends on your definition of co-parenting. I think that we were always focused on each of us separately. We're always focused on him. And before my bomb crater, before it all exploded, that was something that I had communicated. Pardon me, time and again. It's something that we had communicated back and forth time and again. And it was a very vulnerable place. I know for me, to know that I didn't know what was going to happen at that point. I didn't know if I was going to be thrown the book of law at. I didn't say that correctly. But yeah, the book was, whatever, the book analogy. If I was going to be strung out and wrangled by the long arm of the law, the family law. And it was an act of faith. I had to show my cards there. I needed to say, this is what I wanted. And come hell or high water, again, going back to one of the principles that we talked about several times, I'd rather have said it and tried it and given it my all than wondered, would it have ever worked? Would this have worked out? And I can walk away one way or the next knowing that I tried my best, whatever it was. So Matthew, I would love to be able to help you. I think the direct answer would be we were programmed that way. And then as the topic of this live, we continued to take little steps toward that and small steps of faith. And we worked at it. I'm seeing the latest comment here by Andy Nelson. Oh, that's good. Andy says, yeah, got to go balls deep. And that's a pretty good analogy, a sexual analogy. Thank you, Andy. Matt Cochran says that I'm inspirational as well. And like I said, unilaterally, I think every single person in here is inspirational. I draw inspiration from every single one of you. It takes courage. It takes bravery. It takes fortitude. It takes the Forge. If you guys have never read that, actually, go back to the website. It was one of the first pages I wrote, and I wouldn't call it a blog post, but I believe there's a blacksmith, a picture on there. I wish I could remember the URL, but it talks about the Forge briefly. And I think that we don't become our tempered, hardened, best, useful selves unless we get through the process of a forge. And this was going to be a microsode a long time ago, and still might. But in short, I would say that without the forge, without the fire in our life, without the excessive stress and heat and temper and the constant pounding on by said blacksmith, right? The hammer just keeps striking and striking, and it's forging us into something useful, into something productive, into something better, right? So don't forget the forge. If you're in the kiln, if you're getting heated up, if you're soft liquid metal, don't worry. Life is shaping you into something better, something more useful, something stronger. You have a bigger purpose than raw iron. at this point. So understand, this is part of the process. Keep that in your mind. Continue your gratitude practice, right? If you don't know how, ask me. Maybe we can do a live on that. Continue your gratitude practice. Continue to set your mind in the right path. And eventually that forge and those hammer strikes will render you into something completely different than what you were before, and absolutely more useful. And I guarantee it's going to be better, but you got to take the steps. You have to take the steps, right? It's not enough to just want it. You have to act. None of us will act 100% in our best interest. But let's follow the 80-20 rule, right? 80% in the right direction, and we'll correct that other 20% when we take the next step. And then 20% on that, and 80% better on that, and 80% better on that. And eventually we're going to get to as close as we can to where we want to go. Matthew Wyatt, good job. He says, a work in progress. And I don't know if I'm a work in progress. Actually, I do know that I am a work in progress. But I would assume the same for not just yourself, but all of us. Thank you. Andy Nelson. Andy Nelson says, everyone has value to some degree, a perspective we may not be able to see. Not only does that rhyme, but yes, absolutely, Andy Nelson. I totally agree. I appreciate everybody's viewpoints here. And again, I would like to consider everyone's conglomerative opinions informing my own. And I would hope that as a group, we can help each other to the point where, those hammer strikes are placed in the absolute right areas, right? I need to get a hammer strike here, boom, so I can put an edge there so that I can be prepared for this. I don't have a direct example other than the hammer strike and the sword in this case, sword analogy or tool, whatever you're fancy. Matthew Wyatt says, co-parenting is a work in progress. I get it now. Co-parenting is a work in progress. I think it always will be. I think that's it. It's going to be tough. You got to maintain your boundaries. And at the same time, you have to be able to work with somebody. Remember the doormat analogy I made in the last live video? It's true. You don't want to be a doormat. But at the same time, you need to hold your boundaries. And at the same time, you're dealing with a very tumultuous and volatile situation. It's a really tough place to be. I think if you come with proper communication and you come with the right mindset and you're able to somehow communicate, maybe not verbally, that, I don't know if you guys are hearing this, but I'm getting blown up here. Somebody's texting me. Hold on a second. All right. Sorry about that. I lost my train of thought. But if you're able to continue and do the best you can with what you've got and make those small changes and continue to communicate them verbally, non-verbally, by your actions, by your decisions, just in your home life. What is it that you hate? We all of us hate something about ourselves that we're probably not willing to admit to anybody else. So I'll ask you this. I'm going to probably end on this one here too. What is it that you hate about yourself? What is it that you dislike about who you are, what you are, where you are right now? What is that thing? Really consider this question. Is that thing that you're focusing on, the thing that you hate, is that a condition or a reaction, a response, a product of something deeper? I don't know. But for me, I found that on the surface, I didn't like something. And as I dug into it more and more and was completely honest with myself, I found that the underlying cause was something else entirely. And for me, I found that it was my mind. It was what I was thinking. It was the poison I was putting into a situation, likely before it ever happened, or afterwards, being selfish and say, oh, this person's trying to hurt me, or this person's trying to take advantage of me. But then I took it a step further and thought, what could I have done to create, to perpetuate, to exacerbate this situation? And it's helped me. It's a difficult exercise to be absolutely honest with yourself. I think that's the first step, really, when it comes to changing your mind and then thus changing your actions. It first starts here, and then it radiates outward. It's another ripple effect analogy. But we'll get there. I'll do that episode sooner or later. Guys, I really appreciate you, and thanks for tuning in. I'm going to let you go on this Friday. Enjoy your day. If you got more questions for, maybe we'll do another one next week, another Q&A. I read these. Go ahead and post it below. Post your questions and comments, and we'll do that. We'll do that as we can. New member, Chad Weaver. is just joining us. Chad, I'm just signing off, but I'm happy that you joined us and I was able to shout you out. Thank you very much, sir, for your involvement. And I'm looking forward to talking with all of you sometime soon. I got to get away from this microphone here because, I got to appreciate this beard. I'm actually going to go for a trim right now. So guys, I'm thinking about hacking this bad boy off, but I don't know. I got a lady friend, my coworker. No, it's platonic, by the way. And she says, don't do it. Don't do it. We'll see. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I am out. Hopefully I will come to you live or otherwise from Disneyland. That's right. Next week, we are going to Disneyland. And it's going to be a blast. So, you don't have to be in Disneyland to enjoy yourself. And I hope that you could find a place where you can be just content with everything. Guys, as I'll say it all the time, keep fighting the good fight. That's why I say that. Keep fighting the good fight. I'm going to say this one again, too. Stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right. That's it for me, guys. Okay, real quick. Chad Weaver says, sorry, I missed it. Co-parenting is tough. It takes two, definitely, and I agree with that. Yes, that's why you need to work on yourself to hopefully influence the others in your life. But if not, only then I think we should take the next action. Chad Weaver, don't shave it. Remember what happened to Samson. Yeah, right? I thought about that too. Well, hopefully it works the opposite because I'm kind of weak right now, to be honest with you. All right, guys, that's it for me. Stay up, stay connected, and always stay rad, dads. Guys, I'll catch you next time.
Well, that's it for this episode of We Rad Dads. I sincerely thank you for joining us. Don't forget to look us up at www.weraddads.com. There you can find links to our Facebook page and Twitter account. Got a question or comment? It may be featured. Email me, Walter, at weraddads.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for joining us. And remember, stay up, stay connected, and stay rad, dads.